everyone, and welcome back to my channel for another Meal Prep Monday recipe. I'm going to be making an Italian sausage and tortellini soup. I've actually never made this, I just found it online last night, and I will link the recipe in the description bar below for you guys to check it out if you want. And we're just gonna try to make it and see how it turns out. It's supposed to make enough for 4 or 5 servings-ish, so hopefully you'll have enough for lunches for the whole week. Let's get started.
First up is your ingredients. You will want some pepper, some salt, some brown sugar, some Italian sausage. I chose the hot sausage. You'll want some minced garlic, an optional Parmesan cheese rind, some spinach, some onions, some tortellini. I chose cheese tortellini, but feel free to use whatever you like. Either red wine or chicken broth, some more chicken broth, some San Marzano tomatoes, balsamic vinegar, canola oil, and various cooking equipment.
Alright, so the very first thing we are going to do is take our Dutch oven. If you don't have a Dutch oven, I'm sure you can use a large soup pot or saucepan or whatever you may have. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball a tablespoon or 2 of canola oil into the pot. Not very good at eyeballing, I just kind of hope for the best. And then we are going to turn the heat on to a medium-high heat. Alright, so it's been a few minutes since the oil was put in the pot. It's a little bit hotter now. I have a little over a pound here of hot Italian sausage. I personally like things a little spicy, but feel free to use mild if you want. What we're going to do here is put all the sausages in the pot, if I could get them out of the package, and just let them sit for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we're going to flip them over and let them sit on the other side for another 2 to 3 minutes, and that'll just make sure they get nice and caramelized. So while the sausages are cooking in the pot, we're going to get our onions ready, which for me means opening a package of chopped onions and measuring out enough for 1 onion, which is about a cup. Because if there's anything I hate in cooking, it is chopping onions. It always makes me cry, and they always hurt my finger. So this is just a lot easier. So you want 1 medium onion, which is, according to Google, about 1 cup of chopped onion. Alright, so the sausage has finished browning on the opposite side, and now I'm going to take a wooden spatula and just break it up into a lot of pieces, and then that'll just make sure everything's inside is cooked. Give it another minute or 2, and then I'll just scoop it out with the slotted spoon to keep all the fat in there. Move it to another bowl and start on the onions. Pro tip, put on the oven mitt so the oil doesn't splatter and burn your hand. Alright, so now for the onions, I'm going to put the pot on a medium heat. Keep in mind all the juices from the sausage previously are in there. Then we have our 1 medium onion, which is 1 cup of chopped onions, and I'm just going to put that right in. And we're just going to let that cook for 5 to 8 minutes till it's nice and golden. So meanwhile, while the onions are cooking, I have a 28-ounce jar of the San Marzano whole peeled tomatoes. And since we need those chopped, the easiest thing to do is take your kitchen shears and just cut them right in the can. I actually did this for the first time earlier this week, and it works really well. You just stick them in and cut. Just go all the way to the bottom. Alright, our onion is nice and golden, so we're going to add the garlic, which for me is from a jar. We're going to do 2 to 3 cloves of garlic. Just going to put that in, cook that around for about 30 seconds, just till you can smell it really nice. Alright, that smells good to me. So now we are going to add 1/2 cup of red wine. Put the heat on high, let that come to a boil, and let that go for a minute or 2. If you don't want to use wine, that's totally fine. You can just substitute it for chicken stock. So the wine has been going for a minute or 2. We have now the can of tomatoes, which we've chopped up. I'm just going to pour it right into the pot. Then we're going to add a teaspoon of brown sugar, a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar, the cooked sausage from earlier that we have chopped up, and finally 2 cups of chicken stock. Make sure you break up any tomatoes that may not have been broken properly. And then we're just going to put a big pinch of salt in, and a little bit of black pepper. And lastly, it's totally optional, but the recipe says for some additional flavor, you can put in a Parmesan cheese rind, which I also happen to have from a recipe last week. So I'm just gonna stick that in. So now this is just gonna come to a boil. At this point, if you're having this recipe right now after you make it, when it comes to the boil, that's when you're gonna add the tortellini in. But for me, because I'm having as a meal prep, I'm gonna keep the tortellini separate. So I'm actually gonna start cooking my tortellini now, just to my package directions. And then once this comes to a boil, just let it cook for about 15 minutes or so. The soup has been cooking for about 15 minutes. I just took out the rind, and now I'm getting a little bit of the melted cheese out because there's a little bit of cheese on it. So last thing we're gonna do is add 2 cups of chopped spinach. And then we are just going to mix this in and let this cook for about 2 to 3 minutes, or honestly just until everything has wilted away. Just gonna press down on some of those tomatoes again. They're nice and soft now. And as you can see, my heat is no longer at a high. Once it came to a boil, I put it down to about a medium-low, just to help the soup simmer. All right, everything looks delicious. The spinach has wilted. The cheese tortellini is done. I just threw on a little bit of olive oil to keep it from sticking to the pot. Because I am doing this as a meal prep recipe, I don't want to put, you can see the steam, they're still very hot. I don't want to put the hot things in my containers. I'm just gonna turn off the heat and let these cool maybe like an hour or so, and then I'll put them in my containers and they'll be all good to go. Okay, so it's now a good bit later, like a month or 2 later when I made the original video, because the recipe was so good I had to make it again. So 2 thumbs up for this recipe. It is so good that I highly recommend you guys make it, and I hope you enjoy it too.